In this video, we're going to look at the introduction conversation. So how do you ask people for their name and tell them yours? We're going to start with the question, and we're going to start with the informal version. So, what is your name? If you're speaking to, for example, a brand new student, somebody younger than you, etc. The first way we can ask is, comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? It doesn't actually much matter what order these three words are in, as long as you remember those three words. Comment tu t'appelles? So, for example, comment t'appelles-tu? There's nothing wrong with saying it that way. In fact, I'd argue it might be slightly more common than the previous. You can also ask, tu t'appelles comment? You can technically ask, t'appelles-tu comment? But it's a little bit unusual. It's perfectly grammatical. Everyone will understand you when you say it. But it's a little bit unusual. They might pause a second to figure out what it is you just asked. Our formal version, we have to change three things. We have to change the tu, we have to change the T apostrophe in front of the appel, and we have to change the S at the end of appel. So our tus become vous, the TU and also the T apostrophe. Those will both become vous, and our S becomes a Z. Oh, and we drop one of the L's. I always forget that's a sim changing verb. So we go from comment tu t'appelles to comment vous vous appelez. Comment vous vous appelez. Don't forget that liaison between the vous and the appelez. We have comment vous vous appelez. The reason for that, of course, vous ends in an S and appelez begins in a vowel. So we have to smash them together, pretend like they're all one big word. Just like before, we can rearrange this in just about any way we want. Comment vous appelez-vous? Or vous vous appelez comment? All you have to do is remember to keep track of where that liaison happens. All right, to respond. We also have three responses, though, unlike the questions, all three of them are completely different and separate from each other. The most common response is je m'appelle. This is the response that's taught in pretty much every French 1 class ever all around the world. Je m'appelle. Nothing wrong with it, but it does make you sound a little bit like you're a student, because everybody knows that that's the first thing ever taught in a French 1 class. More commonly, French people will say, mon nom est. Mon nom est. So literally, my name is. Or, slightly less common, but still a little bit more natural than je m'appelle, we have je suis. Je suis, I am. And please, 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 please remember to finish the sentence with your actual name. I know that that sounds really basic, but you would be amazed how many students get so caught up trying to remember what the French word is that they forget to actually say what their name is at the end of their sentence. It's best if you can try to say it in a Frenchy accent. It makes the sentence sound a little bit more like it all goes together. For example, my first name is Brittany. So if I say mon nom est Brittany, you have a very obvious disconnect between the languages there. So if I can say my name in a Frenchy accent, mon nom est Brittany, you don't hit that rough, jarring sound when we switch languages. It's not required, but it definitely helps. All right, so let's do an example conversation. So let's say you get to Honker Grove and you're walking down the hallway with your backpack, looking for your locker, trying to find your friends, and then all of a sudden, from around a corner, you find a brand new French exchange student. Woohoo! Yay! We're going to introduce ourselves en français in order to make them feel comfortable here and because we're good human beings. So, how are you going to start that conversation? All right, so hopefully you gave one of these sentences. Comment t'appelles-tu? Any one of those three sentences works. So if you said comment tu t'appelles or tu t'appelles comment, you're also correct. Okay. But we need to be speaking informally, okay, because they're on an equal social level with us. It's a brand new student to Hawker Grove. They're straight across from you on the social ladder. Okay. And we need to make sure that your voice goes up at the end. Make sure that you mention that it's a question. Okay, so don't say comment t'appelles-tu? Okay, comment t'appelles-tu? How might they respond? For example, they might say mon nom est. Mon nom est Bob. Je m'appelle. Or je suis would work here as well. Okay, and obviously, whatever name you picked works. Okay, as long as you have a name. Please don't just say mon nom est and then sit and stare at them as if you're waiting for the next question. Tell them what their name actually is. Yay! You introduced yourself to Bob, and now you're good friends. Woohoo! Good job. All right, so now you know how to ask for somebody's name. You know how to give your own name. We're going to move on to ages.